All right, welcome back, everyone, to the um, second part of our live streaming show. We started earlier around 12, and then we took about a 3 hour break because someone needed a nap.
I did
Um,
quite badly.
so there have been quite a bit of signings going on over the last 3 hours. I don't even know where to start. I know we ended off with reports that Shaq Johnson, former BC Lions receiver, will be signing with the Ottawa Redblacks, but there hasn't been an official announcement. Um, so you know what we're going to start off with? We're going to start off with the BC Lions. They've been rather busy over the last 3 hours. They officially signed Hamilton Tiger Cat. That I think it's going to be weird seeing him rock a different color. They signed Delvin Breaux. He's coming back into the CFL with the BC Lions, but more importantly, um, they're going 1-2 Canadian quarterbacks.
Yeah.
They signed Michael O'Connor, which I figured that would happen, all things considered, because of the UBC connection. What are you thinking of it?
Well, there's not much experience there, for one. That's like I think Dave Naylor put out basically that there's 67 completions between the two of them all time in their careers, right? So, I think some people may have taken it the wrong way, in the way that they thought that he's saying that neither Rourke or O'Connor can be starters in the CFL, and that's not what he's saying. It's a fact that there's not experience there, and that's the great thing about when they had Michael Riley last season with Rourke, is that if Rourke needed something, when there was places to grow, there was a guy who has been there, done that to literally every situation in the league, including playing with an elbow that was missing about half the ligaments it needs to work, apparently. So, I'm curious to see how it's going to go. I'm thrilled that there's going to be two Canadian quarterbacks in the league playing on the same team. I think that's great for Canadian product, but we'll see how it goes in a football standpoint when there's just no veterans there. It's going to be tough for them.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess their thought process is okay. Well, if we can't get a veteran quarterback, we'll get a veteran receiver room, and the receivers are there to help them out. But they were able to bring back David Menard as well. He was one of the guys that also came back to BC during our little break. So realistically, I feel like BC's in a pretty good spot overall. They brought in Lucius Purifoy. They brought in Delvin Breaux. So their secondary is starting to come together pretty nicely. Obviously,
they brought in Daniel Peterman too when we were gone.
Yeah, Daniel Peterman brought in as a receiver. So some pretty significant, signings. But the offensive line, there's still some holes, and the defensive line is almost non-existent at this point. So it's going to be interesting. There's still some holes for BC to cover. But I think the big one, the big free agent signing, happened within the last hour. Andrew Harris.
Yeah.
Heading to Toronto.
Yeah, and that was one, too, that we said that would be big if BC was able to get it, and they're not. So, that's another hole that they're going to have to look to fill is that running backs room, because right now they just don't have much there in the way of, productive CFL backs. And we've seen what happens if you don't have a running game. It affects your passing game. So, with a young quarterback, you want to get that figured out as well. But for Toronto, that was an interesting one, because Farhan put out the tweet that said, Toronto was looking at this and this is a very real possibility. And to me, it felt like there was a little bit of urgency behind it. Like it was about to happen, like they kind of swooped in and made it happen. So, I'd like to know what the value on that contract is, because it feels weird to me that between Saskatchewan and BC that they couldn't figure out a contract for that guy, and then Toronto came in and offered what they did and got it done. Like, that was quick.
Yeah, and John Hodge tweeted out saying that Winnipeg doesn't host Toronto, so there won't be a reunion in terms of Andrew Harris going back to Winnipeg. Unlike any of the Winnipeg guys who came to Ottawa, they faced them in like week 1. But two big names on the defensive end, both relative to the West, is Matthew Betts. He signs with BC, so that's another D line that I somehow forgot about. He signs with BC, so you have an edge rusher. You have a Canadian edge rusher. I was surprised that he ended up there. I thought he was going to Montreal.
I did too. And Montreal's another team that we're going to talk about because they're a little bit quiet right now, and there's still some stuff for them to do, and they've got some issues to address. So I was kind of shocked that Betts is in BC. Like, that wasn't a team that I even thought about in this situation. You know, it was Montreal. I thought early in the process, before Kwaku Boateng happened, I thought maybe the Red Blacks would be interested in that. There's a couple of other teams too, namely in the West, that I thought might be a little interested, but I guess BC was the one who wanted him the most.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess that John Bowman, when you bring John Bowman in as your defensive end coach, like your defensive line coach, you get a little bit more pull that way with things because, well, it's John Bowman, and who wouldn't want to be coached by John Bowman? He's a CFL, future Hall of Famer. Like, guy's done everything. So I think that had a huge say, like, on where you end up.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have much to say in that regard. Just kind of watching for more contracts. And, I mean, I guess this happened an hour ago, but Nick Esonyeka, 1-year deal with Edmonton. So there's another one. I don't know. I still don't know how to feel about that team. They're still kind of, maybe they'll be good, maybe they won't.
Who, the Elks?
The Elks, yeah.
My issue is Jones, right? Like, we know what he can do as a coach. You know, he had a competitive team with Saskatchewan as that head coach GM role, but he never was able to seem like he never seemed to be able to pick up that extra hump. Like, he could never get over that hump with Saskatchewan, and I'm curious on if he'll be able to do it with Edmonton.
Yeah. We put results for that.
I didn't hear a single word you said. Man, we're not even 10 minutes into this, and we're already having technical difficulties.
Oh, wonderful. I don't know.
But Ottawa's been relatively quiet outside of the people that we all knew. We all knew that we're going. They've been relatively quiet on that end. Toronto's been relatively quiet. They've made some big splashes. Jagger Davis, Andrew Harris, Amos out of Calgary. They've been able to grab a couple of guys, but overall they've been relatively quiet. And outside of that, like Montreal, a rather quiet situation going on. But I think, like, the big one was Sean Lemon. We were talking about it earlier on part one, that he always seemed to be the guy that was like kind of left down. Like, he was always like a late signing. I always felt like he was never a big name, but he re-signs in Calgary.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of a big blow for the Tiger Cats as well, because they need to find something for their pass rush. They miss out on Matthew Betts. And I mean, even like a tier down, a guy like Riel. I'm curious to see what they are still having. Ish. Texas, because I've already hardwired it in.
Yeah, it might be on my end. I'm not sure. But obviously, this kind of how it goes with our episodes. Sometimes there's technical issues. Sometimes there's not.
No, usually there is.
That's sometimes. Sometimes we're lucky. But man, I don't know. I've been looking it over for the last couple like the last little bit, and this free agency kind of seems boring.
I don't know if I would say boring. I would say that it hasn't had the typical thrill that we have, but that's because of the tampering period, I think.
I have no idea what's going on. I can barely hear you when you talk. Oh man, I think we might have to restart this.
I don't know what's going on.
I don't know either. I hope everyone else who's listening is having a better time than we are right now. Man, technical difficulties are always a hassle, but that sucks. Like just trying to going through, like, kind of seems like we're in that time period of like very quiet and like nothing else is really going to happen for the day.
Yeah, I don't know if nothing else happened. Like there's guys out there. It's done it again, isn't?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. Like my internet is dying. Is what's happening.
Might be my end, but like, I think it might be my end. You know what? We're gonna restart this and just maybe it's just StreamYard bugging out. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.